The following program is a SUTV student production. The views expressed are not necessarily those of Salisbury University, the University System of Maryland, its regents, administration, officers, employees, or representatives.
Such as Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Dane
From there, because some of them are seniors, so they were
a local opportunity for those who are financially dependent. Currently,
X-rays at Salisbury University. It's a standard operating procedure.
It's just part of Good evening and welcome to SUTV Evening News. We begin tonight's broadcast with some sad news. Members of the SU community are mourning the loss of Susanna Batters, a Salisbury University freshman who died on Saturday afternoon. The fatal crash that also killed Batters' father and friend took place on Route 50 as the group was traveling to Annapolis. And whenever the campus experiences a loss, students are reminded that the counseling center here on campus is available for those who need it. We spoke to Kathy Scott, director of the Counseling Center, about some of the services that they offer, as well as some of the unique services they provide at a time of loss such as this.
Well, my staff are all experts in dealing with college students, and that's very helpful. We have an opportunity to be familiar with their experiences here on campus, and so that makes us more in tune, I think, with what they might be dealing with. I think it's accessible to students, and so students are more likely to use us because it's convenient. They can just walk from their dorm room to here or come over after a class, and so with that, I think that students are much more likely to take advantage of it. President of Student Affairs does to just let people know about our services. And we also work very closely with student organizations or residence life staff or classroom kind of environments, depending on what the student is involved in, so that we reach those students that are closest in contact with someone who has been lost, passed away. And so we might provide an opportunity to go to a classroom and talk to students who might be grieving, or we might go to the residence halls and provide after hours kind of time with the students to allow them the opportunity to talk with each other about how they're feeling. And we even address faculty and staff issues too. If they're having a difficult time, we're willing to do some consultation with them as well.
And many of you will remember the campus-wide email that went out last semester informing the university community that a student had contracted tuberculosis. Well, on Tuesday, faculty, staff, and students were alerted to yet another case. The university is encouraging everyone who is notified to be tested as soon as possible. Brooke Reese spoke to some local and university health officials about steps you can take as well as what they're doing. Brooke?
the SU Affairs Group released an email stating that a second student has been diagnosed with active tuberculosis. SUTV spoke with SU Health Department Director Victoria Lentz to see what precautions are being made on campus to protect those who may be affected.
First of all, they should be screened. I mean, that's the most important thing. And so I'm hoping that students who see this may really take that next step and be screened and not just ignore their emails, ignore those letters. We do have holds on some students' accounts, so they won't be able to register if they don't take care of this, because it is a public health risk. We want to keep the campus safe. We don't want other additional people to become sick. So we're trying all we can, and we're working very closely with the health department to make sure that students aren't panicked, but that they do take us seriously. That we don't want this to spread.
Dr. James Cockey of the Wicomico Health Department explains how rare it is for students to be diagnosed with TB and why students should not be concerned unless otherwise notified.
But that student is under appropriate treatment and is on isolation until that student is no longer infectious. There's a degree of concern, and the concern is that you work with the health department and you have the testing done, and then if the testing shows evidence of infection, that you cooperate and take the medication. And beyond that, if you're feeling sick, you go to your doctor. So that we don't know that this case is related to the first case. We don't know. It's possible. And there are specialized tests that are being done at the state lab to determine if it's precisely the same strain.
And a student with the disease has officially been quarantined at this time until anti-tuberculosis treatment has been completed. For SUTV Evening News, this is Brooke Reese.
Thanks, Brooke. And for more information, students are encouraged to visit the health services in Holloway Hall. And on the Thursday before we left for spring break, the mayor delivered his annual State of the City address in Holloway Hall. The mayor mentioned a number of accomplishments that he believes the city has made. He also outlined policies and initiatives that he plans to push forward in the coming months. Among these initiatives, the mayor is looking to tighten occupancy laws in the city, which would affect the number of students and unrelated individuals that can live in a single house. And more on that, here's a look at some of the state of the city.
Round of applause, because that's really where it's happening right now. Free Wi-Fi available, 3,248 unique users since we debuted, and a number of unique users per day is 48. We are on pace this year to exceed that. Young people downtown, online, that's the place where they want to be. The FBI says about Salisbury's crime numbers since 2004. You can see the drop right there to 2013. The violent crime rate is dropping, and it's dropping very quickly here in Salisbury. The over-occupancy legislation, and I'm just going to read it to you. This legislation will directly link any violation of the occupancy provisions as referred to in the Property Maintenance Code to the housing official's authority to deny, revoke, suspend, or not renew that landlord's license. This new risk of forfeiture, coupled with the current authorization to issue a municipal fine of up to $500 for each day the violation exists and the possibility of condemnation as an unlawful structure, will significantly bolster the city's ability to combat the growing number of over-occupancy violations and should substantially disincentivize those violations. What does that mean? 6 years ago, I stood in front of you and I said to the voters of Salisbury that no longer will the city of Salisbury get in between the relationship between landlord and renter. If the property isn't being used right, then it's somebody's fault, but it's not ours, and you will be held accountable. Finally, with the help of a city council, a progressive city council, we are making the steps. These steps will be copied by municipalities throughout the state of Maryland. When I say that we are leading, we are leading.
And we are in the first week of program planning. Students are reminded to attend their advising appointments and to schedule meetings with their advisors immediately if they have not done so. We're going to take a quick break and be right back here with more SUTV News.
Yo, check out this chef, right? Right? That's so gay. That's really gay. Dude, look at those pants.
Please don't say that.
What?
Don't say that something is gay when you mean that something is dumb or stupid. It's insulting. It's like if I thought this pepper shaker was stupid and I said, man, and this pepper shaker is so 16-year-old boy with a cheesy mustache. Just saying. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
And now Amir Carter gives us a look at what's going on with SU Sports.
Basketball season is officially over. It's sad to hear, but there's some excellent moments. The men's basketball team lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament to Trinity in Connecticut. They had some great moments in the CAC championship where we all rushed the floor, so it's just great to see that story. And women's basketball, let me just say, had an excellent season. They lost in the Elite Eight while we were over in spring break. It's sad that we couldn't really support them, but they set multiple records with best winning percentage, most games, most field goals made, and most points scored. So big applause to them when they made a historical run this year. Now on to the track team. They're postseason number 11, so but I'm definitely sure that they're going to be running for that #1 spot soon, so please look out for them. Now for SU baseball, 10-0 and 6-0 in the conference. They've had a busy spring break, but they just been killing it. The offense has just been excellent. Let me say the team batting average is .369. That means everybody's at least hitting 1 for 3 every day and getting people on base. And the on-base percentage is .462. So it's clear that you can see this team is working together, pushing forward, and I hope they continue this hot streak. Now, they're averaging 1 home run a game, so they got 10 home runs overall, and they got 98 runs in total, so clearly you can see. And Brett Kalachi, let me just say, that man has been dealing with his 4th career CAC Pitcher of the Week. I mean, this team is just, it's nothing that's stopping them, and we know that they're going to go far with this. And they're also the #1 spot in the D3Baseball.com and the top 525 poll, taking #3. So clearly you can see they're doing big things. And now for softball, who is #2, doing an excellent job as well. They're 12-1. You know, they got 1 loss on the record. It was a doubleheader that day. They were tired. They were still working hard, and it was a close game, 13-12. But as you can see, they're 2-0 in the conference with a little 9-game win streak. And Rachel Johnson, let me just say, is pure excellence. She's not doing anything wrong. 5-0. She has an ERA of .46, and she was 6-1 in a tough week for Salisbury softball. So clearly, keep looking out for them. Show them some support. Both of our baseball and softball teams are doing an excellent job. Now, let's go out to men's lax. Men's lax is number 15. They had a slow start. It was kind of hard for them in the beginning, but now they're picking some things up. The defense is getting way better. I want to make a quick shout out to sophomore Carson Kalama. He lived in my dorm last year, so you know that's why he's so great. He's picking up Offensive Player of the Week, and that's just a great thing. And on the other side of the field, Canute Cross, he's being named the top defensive player of the week. And if you haven't seen him, he's the guy with the blonde dreads at all the basketball games. So he clearly has Salisbury down, so much spirit with himself. And then women's lax at the end. They beat number 2 Cortland State 13-11, and tonight they're actually playing number 1 Franklin and Marshall away. So they obviously had a big week ahead of them, and let's just give them the best. But their defense is doing excellent. They're 2-0 in the conference, 5-2 overall. So that's just 2 games that we just gotta forget about and keep moving on. A defensive player of the week was Kieran Keller, who did an excellent job. And just that defense has always just been excellent, and they're moving forward. And then Gianna Falcon, who's a freshman, got her first start at goalkeeper, is doing a great job. And she's gotten 2 awards for Co-Rookie of the Week and Defensive Player of the Week. So clearly that team is on fire. And that's all for sports. Eli, back to you.
And the Purdue School of Business is again throwing their annual Entrepreneurship Competition. We spoke with Competition Director Bill Burke and a student in the competition for more information.
Since the beginning, the competition has been open to all schools on campus. We want to make sure everyone knows that it's open to all schools on campus. Myself and John Hickman from the Small Business Development Center, we went to all the different schools and held meetings in the fall, and we've also held meetings in the spring. We're excited about the fact that we met with a number of music students that are interested in participating in the competition. There's a number of physics students that are interested. So the more students throughout the campus community that gets involved, the better. If they're unsure of the business side, reach out to us and we'll hook them up with a student that has the business skills to help write a plan. Well, this year, it's an exciting year for us because we're going to have Entrepreneurship Week. We have 3 entrepreneurship events coming together on the 7th, 8th, and 9th. On the 7th, it will be the Shore Hatchery, which is our regional competition where $125,000 will be available for anyone within the region to obtain through a competition, through a pitch and presentation competition. So a piece of $125,000. The highest prize will be about $50,000 to any one individual. On Friday is our student competition, and we've been running a student competition on campus for 28 years. And 3 years ago we changed the format of it, and 3 years ago we gave out $30,000. Last year we gave out $60,000, and this year we're giving out $100,000 in prizes.
Well, I mean, it gives students the opportunity to really develop their entrepreneurial ambitions and really get started with a business plan. I mean, I've always wanted to open my own business, so having this opportunity to go into pretty much a no-risk environment and really have a business plan and talk to potential investors and whatnot is really an advantage before we go out into the real world and have to do it for real, where there's actually risk involved.
And after this break, we'll have Today in History as well as some construction news. Stay tuned to SUTV Evening News.
Hey, my name's Katie and I'm in the 9th grade. I'm an A average student and I'm an athlete working towards a scholarship. And everybody tells me how much potential I have. But I just wish someone would tell me where my next meal is coming from. Katie, how'd I do?
Do you have to be so serious?
Well, I mean, I did like a crazy dance in a movie if you want me to like, you know, do a little, no.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
And if you were traveling downtown today, you may have noticed some fire and emergency vehicles in the plaza. No fire, we're being told, just some smoke after an outlet was sparked, and things should be cleared up there pretty soon. We now take a look at some historical events that took place in the country and locally with Allison Haley and Today in History.
This week on Today in History, we will be looking at several major events in American history that have had a huge impact on the country today. On March 25, 1634, the first English colonists settled in Maryland. The colonists were sent by Cecil Calvert, also known as Lord Baltimore. They arrived at St. Clement's Island on Maryland's western shore and founded the settlement of St. Mary's. Now, Maryland Day is a legal holiday in the state of Maryland and is celebrated on March 25th. On March 25, 1919, President Woodrow Wilson's dream of a League of Nations became a reality. Wilson's 14 points calling for a general association of nations along with regulation and enforcement led the United States in the direction of this alliance. Wilson even became the very first president to travel abroad in order to attend the Paris Peace Conference. He claimed that the League would guarantee the territorial integrity and political independence of member states, authorize the League to take any action to safeguard the peace, establish procedures for arbitration, and create the mechanisms for economic and military sanctions. Despite all of President Wilson's hard work, he left office without convincing the United States to become a member of the League of Nations. On March 25, 1965, civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. and 25,000 nonviolent protesters arrived in the state capital of Montgomery, Alabama, after a 5-day, 54-mile march from Selma, Alabama. In Montgomery, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference were campaigning for equal voting rights. People from all over the country of various races and beliefs came to Selma to participate in this march. This march was a huge stepping stone to the signing of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 by President Lyndon Johnson. That's it for today in history. Now back to you, Eli.
Thank you for that, Allison. Last time we were with you, we told you about an environmental hearing that held up construction on the new Siegel Stadium. Due to the fact that the complainant did not show up to the hearing, construction is again underway. And SU's largest construction project hit a major milestone before we left for spring break. In Red Square, students, staff, and members of the community came from all over to sign the last beam to be placed in the new academic commons.
Huge difference for the way students study and interact and are supported on this campus.
The beam signing is a milestone in the construction. What's happening is we're nearing the completion of the steel erection of the structure. So that really allows us to see the entire size and scope of the building. Once the steel is topped out, then we begin working on the exterior skin. The brick begins to be laid, and so you really get to see the rest of the building come together. And so this beam will then be transported onto the site and lifted into place with a crane, and then certainly be available for the others to see down the road. It's a way to engage the campus and, again, keep us all focused on the goal that in another year plus we'll have a new library and new academic commons for the entire campus and for the community.
So with help from facilities, people will be able to go up there in 40 years and say, hey, see, there's my signature, I was here.
Well, this is pretty symbolic. This is the last of the steel beams. You know, it's been very exciting over the past few months to see the building start to take shape. The final beam says, okay, let's get on to the good stuff. You know, everything that will go in this building. So it's mainly symbolic, and some of our big donors that have helped make this happen were here today. So it's a special day for Salisbury University and really the larger community, because other people will be using the academic commons as well.
And that's it for us this week. For everyone here at SUTV News, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you right back here next week. Good night.
President of Student Affairs, Dr. Dane from there because some of them weren't seniors, so they were.
It's a local opportunity for those who are financially dependent. Currently,
Catchphrase at Salisbury University. It's a standard